Hey folks, David Stewart here. Let's talk about fixing your attention span. Can you sit through this entire video of tips for how to fix your attention span? Now, this is a problem that someone was mentioning in the comments. I talk about some strategies for dealing with this in this book, Keys to Prolific Creativity, though I'm going to extract them and combine them with some other things for this video because I think it's an important topic and one that comes up a lot, especially with our modern distraction saturated world. It's not a new problem though. I've been teaching for a long time. This was a problem in 2016. It was a problem in 2006. That is, kids having short attention spans. I bet if you go back and find like old 60 Minutes coverage or something from the 90s, you'll find adults complaining about kids having low attention spans, whether it was ADHD or something else like that. And if you have ADHD or you've been diagnosed with it, I have a lot of strategies that I've been able to use with students over the years to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish. So before we even dig into some of the strategies that I want to examine, we really have to use some good terminology. I'm going to introduce a different term to you, which is task focus rather than attention span. Mostly people that are complaining about having a bad attention span, it's because they can't focus on a task that they want to accomplish. There's a thing that they want to do, but they're having a hard time attending to it for the duration of time that they want to attend to it. Okay, that's a problem that we can attempt to fix. This is outside of my realm of expertise when I'm talking about neurologically fixing your attention span. These are strategies that I have used with students to help them to get done the things that they want to get done. So the first strategy is actually not to fix your attention span at all, at least not directly, but to meet yourself where you are. And that is to focus in bursts, whether this is reading or this is practicing guitar or it is writing or whatever it's going to be. You do it in bursts rather than trying to say, I'm going to sit down and practice for an hour. Try practicing for 5 minutes. And then if you need to look at Twitter or something, you can do that for a minute and then practice for 5 minutes. I still do this because my attention span is not perfect and my task focus is not perfect. And some days I'm more mentally exhausted than others. And some days I'm less into what I'm doing than I will be on other days. So being able to do some exercises, practice a piece for a bit, finish the piece, pause, like respond to some YouTube comments that I feel like I'm being productive in a different area. So I'm kind of switching my focus back and forth between, practicing guitar, answering YouTube comments, coming up with an idea, practicing guitar. So my focus kind of rotates through things so I never really feel bored and I always feel like I'm making a little bit of progress on things. So that's one that I have found to be really useful for me, and I've seen a lot of students be able to use it to really, really good effect. Rather than trying to practice for 30 minutes straight or an hour straight, practice for 5 minutes, take a break, 5 minutes, take a break. Even if it's like, put down your guitar, go to the bathroom. Same thing with writing. Write for 5 minutes, stop, move away from the keyboard, take a sip of coffee or something, sit and think about what you did and what you're going to do next, then begin writing again, right? So writing, working, reading in bursts, that works. The same thing with the book. If you read a page and then you want to take a break, if you're reading one page at a time and taking like a mental break between each page, that's okay, right? So meet yourself where you are at rather than wishing yourself to be different than how you are. And the interesting thing about this is that over time, you're going to develop a little bit more of a tolerance for focus. Focus is kind of like a muscle. And in order to gain focus, you have to use focus. You have to actually be doing what you can to focus. So when you notice yourself losing focus, you just sort of do something else, come back, try to focus as hard as you can for that next little bit. You can actually get quite a bit done this way. It's a strategy that works for people that just in general have low task focus, or maybe there's like a medical reason and you need to work within the boundaries of what you're capable of. But I do think that if you do this over time, you'll develop a little bit of a stronger muscle there. Number 2 is to focus on a quantifiable goal for anything that you're doing, whether it's reading or it's practicing guitar or it's writing or it's anything else. A quantifiable goal means there is some amount of thing that you have accomplished. There's an amount rather than a time. The problem with focusing on time for your goals is that it's really easy to waste time, right? That's the problem. That's the problem with the poor task focus. That's the problem with the bad attention span, is that it's really easy to waste time. So if you're like, well, I'm going to write for an hour, and then your 1 hour of writing produces 100 bad words, that's not going to work for you, right? It's better to say, I'm going to write 1,000 words, however long it takes, however much I have to disengage, however much I have to walk away, however much I have to employ that first strategy of like working in bursts in order to get to that 1,000 words. That's what I'm going to do. So setting a word count goal, if you're a writer, is super useful. If you're a musician, it's a little more kind of fluid, right? It's harder to define what it is, but you can make a decide for your practice session. This phrase, I'm going to get rid of all the mistakes in this phrase, or I'm gonna improve this specific area of the piece, or I'm gonna come up with this new idea. I'm gonna come up with a new phrase for my piece. So you have a goal of something that is quantifiable that you're actually going to accomplish in your practice session. That will also give you more focus in what you're doing and help you to feel like you're getting closer to it every time you're acting with whatever you're doing. If you're having a hard time like reading, or you're trying to habituate reading better, it's better to say I'm going to read 10 pages than it is to say I'm going to read for 30 minutes. Quantify the amount of pages that you're going to read in a book if you're trying to develop this habit. The thing is, and I'll get to number 3 here, the entire point of making this something that's really definable is to make it so that even if you are getting distracted a lot, you are still getting done what you want to get done. And again, the more you do it, the more you get done that thing, the easier it comes. So people that are new writers find that 500 words is very difficult, but it's a great goal to start with. And then all of a sudden 1,000 words becomes easy, 1,500 words becomes easy, 2,000 words become easy. So when I wrote my last book, I wrote a book last year live. And when I was writing that live, I would write, 1,000 words an hour. So that's 2 hours of work. And I spent a lot of time writing, but I spent a lot of time like engaging with the chat and stuff too. So the chat provided that natural kind of, I just need a little mental release to go and be distracted. It's okay to be distracted sometimes. And I'm going to be distracted with the chat. I'm going to think about what they're saying. I'm going to respond to them, have some conversations. Then I'm going to come back to it. And I was still able to do 2,000 words every time I sat down, sometimes more. Just kind of depended, but you will find that you're going to be more efficient at writing the more you do it. So the main thing is getting those reps in. Same thing with practicing. You get better at practicing your instrument the more you do it. And so getting those reps in is probably the most important thing. Even if it takes you longer to get those reps in, when you first start, you're going to get better and better and better at it as you go. So the third thing, and maybe this is, I'll call this point 2.5. It's okay to be distracted, and you should put distractions in that are things that you want to be distracted by. I'll really call this point 3. So, because I mentioned this, right? If you have a window, just pausing and looking out the window, having your mind disengage, lose focus, look out the window. Same thing if you're reading. I do this all the time. I read. I feel like I want to pause when I'm reading. I'm not as focused on the words as I need to be. I'll stop. I'll look out the window. I'll watch the birds for a minute, or like watch the trees waving, or just get up, do something else, right? So allow yourself to be distracted by the things that are maybe not hyper interesting, those things that don't hit your dopamine. So, distracted by the window is fine. Distracted by like your dog, I'm going to stop and pet my dog. Those are fine. What you probably don't want to allow yourself to be distracted by is like social media, because then that sucks you into like a dopamine thing, or like, I want a dopamine hit. So you probably don't want that, but allow yourself to have distractions that are minimal. So one of the things that I do when I write, or one of the things I did when I would write, is I would have a window open that would play, some music. And the music was like, like it'd be like lo-fi hip hop mix, kind of at a low level. And the reason for that is that I have tinnitus, and it can be very distracting to hear when it's totally silent. So it gives my mind something to hear, something to think about when I need a little bit of a mental break, just a minute, just a second of break. Then I'll often have a window open that's somebody walking through Japan or something, right? Whatever it is. It's like just a video of someone walking in the rain. And that rain also provides a lot of white noise, which I find again, helpful to distract me from like the ringing in my ears and other kinds of noises that might happen in my house, like kids throwing things at each other, whatever it is. So those things help. That's a distraction, and I'm not really watching that. I'm typing, and then when I want to, I can watch that for a minute, and then I can come back to my document. So I'm putting distractions in intentionally, being intentional with the distractions, so that they're serving the purpose of the process that I'm doing. And I don't feel like I've had a problem completing books. I've written a bunch of books and been able to put them out, or like getting music done, these sorts of things. So I use these, and students that I've used some of these approaches, they've worked out well for them. So the last things that I really want to talk about have to do with the struggle in general. It could be that you think you have a bad attention span because you're trying to pay attention to boring, uninteresting, or painful things. Okay, this is a deeper thing to think about. But I noticed this personally. If I'm really excited about a book, I have no problems focusing on what's going on in that book. It's easy. You pick it up, you want to read it. You have to stop yourself from reading it too much. Whereas a book that's maybe less interesting, it's harder to focus on. If you feel like you're having a really hard time reading, it could just be that you're choosing the wrong book to read. And for that, I would say, read what you're excited to read. Don't read performatively. I know that I say like you should read the classics and you should read challenging literature and things like that, and you should. But if it's painful for you, it's okay to just read something else. Okay. Life is too short to read bad books. So just because a friend recommended it to you does not mean it's going to be your book. And you may not have even found a book that's like, this is my book and I love reading it. And that's okay. So one thing you can do is you can go to the bookstore, like the physical bookstore is really the way that this works. You could do it, I guess, on Amazon, but it's not going to, I don't feel like it's going to work as good. You go to the bookstore, you pull off books that look like they have a cool title or nice cover that interests you, that piques your interest, and try reading the first page, the first couple of pages. And the one that makes you want to keep reading and allow yourself to read as much of it in the store as you want. And if it makes you want to keep reading, you buy that book and you read that book, and that's the book that you're going to read. I have done this before personally, and it's worked. You know, I was just like, I don't know what I want to read. I'm not interested in these books. I go down to the bookstore. I just pull a bunch of books off. That's actually how I found the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Is like, it was in the fantasy section or something. I was like, a Stephen King book in the fantasy section. That's weird. So I picked it up. I read it. That first line, the man in black fled across the desert and gunslinger followed. Boom, I was hooked. Now, did every book fulfill? No, but that book, that first book, The Gunslinger, was like, I got to buy this book. I'm just going to end up reading the whole book right here in the bookstore. Right? So sometimes you hit a book that's just, this is what I want to read right now, and you should just follow that. And no judgment. Don't make it some kind of ego thing. If the book that you feel like is exciting to read is some harem light novel, then just read that. If it's Twilight, read that. If you want to read Harry Potter, read Harry Potter, whatever it's going to be. And don't worry about your age. Be like, I'm too old to read harem light novels. Doesn't matter. You could be 70 years old. If that's what like gets you energized to read a book, then just read that. The classics will always be there, and later that may be the book that really interests you. You may have a different headspace at a different time, but you have, again, you're meeting yourself where you are now. Read something that's interesting. It's the same thing with movies. I noticed this, like whenever I put on an older movie, I don't ever feel the need to check my phone. If it's an older movie I haven't seen before, if it's an older movie I've seen before, and you'd think I'd get more bored with it, I don't, right? Older movies just, I feel like they're made better, and they don't, rather than requiring you to have a good attention span, they just command your attention. There's just so much good quality in a lot of movies that you just don't even worry about your attention span. It's not that your attention span is so broken by social media. You may just not be looking at things that are really good. You may be looking at a lot of boring crap. And so try watching some different movies and kind of see what hits you and see what commands your interest. Now, I noticed this trying to watch the new Superman movie. Like there was who directed it? It wasn't Zack Snyder. It was the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, I think. This was so boring, right? Like, and it's weird. Like, how could this superhero movie be boring? But it just was. It just wasn't interesting. I just felt myself wanting to look away from the screen at my phone. And I don't usually feel that way about movies. I don't feel like my attention span is just broken beyond repair and I can't ever focus on a movie. Like movies are I like movies. I usually have no problem watching them and I don't even think about, but I'm like, let's see what people are writing on YouTube, right? Because the movie was so cringy as well. Like it was boring and then it was cringe. And so when something's cringe, when you feel vicarious embarrassment for it, you're just like, I want to disengage from this. I don't like it, right? So if you don't like it, if it's annoying to you, then you're not going to want to watch it. It could be that your attention span is fine. You're just trying to attend to things that aren't interesting to you. So try attending to different things. Try attending to different things and don't worry about doing any of this stuff performatively. Okay, so those are my tips. You feel free to add anything else to these to prepare this. The last thing, I guess this is number 5, right, is put friction towards whatever you don't want and reduce friction to whatever you do want to do. So notice there's guitars on my wall. There's guitars all over my house. I've collected guitars. I was in the music industry forever, right? Why are there guitars on the walls? Well, I found that if the guitar is really easy to pick down and play, if I'm bored, rather than wasting time on my phone, you can like piss away 2 minutes on Twitter like that. I grab down a guitar and I practice. Even if it's like 5-10 minutes of practice, it makes a difference. So there's low friction towards the things that I want to be doing. And there's higher friction towards the things that I don't want to be doing. So I take my phone, I put it on a charger. It's like in the kitchen, right? If it's in the kitchen, if I want to watch a video while I'm doing the dishes, I can, but like I can't watch it in the schoolroom, right? Or I can't watch it in the living room. There's lots of ways that I use my phone in productive ways, but you know, if you feel like you're looking at your phone too much, just add a little friction, right? Add a little friction. Make it so that it's just in a different room. You have to walk 5 steps to get your phone. It's on the table over there. Just put it on the table away from you, and you'll find that you take 2 steps towards it, you're like, I don't really want to be looking at my phone, and you go sit back down and find something else to do. If there's a book that you want to read, put it on the coffee table so that you'll read it. When you sit down, you're like, I'm bored, you pick up the book and you read it. I find that this is a great way to I just have books around everywhere too. They're just all over the place, and I can sit down, open up a book, read it, be distracted by the book for a little bit. So yeah. Increase the friction towards the thing that is distracting you and decrease the friction towards the thing that you actually want to be engaging with. And all of these things combined, you'll find that even if your attention span is totally shot, it can be repaired through repeated focus. And even if it's totally shot, you find that you're still going to be engaging with the things that you want to engage with enough to get the benefits that you want from it. So there's everything I have to say about that for today. Have a great one. I'll see you all next time. Keys to Prolific Creativity. It's like $2.99 on Amazon. Everybody who's a patron gets this one for free. It's just a good manual that I wrote for how to manage your creative process to accomplish your creative goals. Okay, so there it is. Have a great one, and I'll see you all next time.